What's up guys, Jeff Cavaliere, AthleanX.com. Today's going to be a little bit of a rant video. But you know what comes with the rant? The truth. And today the truth about getting abs is always going to reside around your nutrition. But the fact is, many people will complicate their nutrition unnecessarily along the way, whether it be consciously or whether it be a subconscious thing, because we want to have something stand in the way of actually doing what we know we need to do to get abs. Well, we don't need to do that. I'm going to simplify today a 5-step plan for you on how to get your abs to start showing regardless of what you look like now. Because I can tell you this, when I started this very same 5-step plan that I'm going to share with you here today, I didn't have abs. And I had nothing of what you might see here today. But I do know this works because I did use this myself, and I know that the simplicity behind this is the key. Because if you can't do something consistently, forget about its long-term effectiveness, and that's what we have to fix, okay? Okay, step 1, are you ready for it? Cut the crap. And I mean this 2 different ways, guys. Number 1, cut the crap. Start being honest with yourself about the foods that you know you shouldn't be eating. If you have this idea about wanting to chase a six-pack, which we will put up here as the end goal, we know that it's not something that everybody has. It requires effort, requires dedication. Then there are things along the way that you're going to have to sacrifice. And for you to pretend that you don't know what the crap is in your diet that you need to cut out, that's just lying to yourself. So I know that it's probably not the answer you want to hear, but it's the answer that you need to hear, and that is you need to start right away by cutting the crap out of your diet. And I can tell you first and foremost, speaking from experience, I was the absolute worst eater on the planet. I used to have fast food all the time, every dinner pretty much. I used to eat M&Ms, I talked about this before, every morning for breakfast, Dunkin' Donuts for breakfast. I used to bring Hostess cupcakes, ding dongs, ring dings, snowballs. That was my lunch. Otis Spunkmeyer cookies. I'm plugging a lot of brands here, but unfortunately I don't support them anymore because I don't eat any of their crap. So I got rid of it. But you have to do that right now, whether it's excess alcohol. You got to make sure, and if you have to question whether it's excess, it's probably excess. You want to make sure that you get those things out of your diet as soon as you possibly can, because you're only fooling yourself and lying to yourself the longer you keep them in there, thinking that you're going to be able to keep them in your diet long term, I'm saying long term, and still be able to have the six-pack that you want. Okay, now that the crap's out of your diet, the second phase here is one that actually might shock you because it's counterintuitive to what a lot of the keyboard scientists will tell you out there on YouTube, and that is you actually should be eating more often. You see, if you eat more often, 3 things will happen that will actually allow you to start seeing that six-pack a little faster. Number 1, it's a habitual thing. It's habit forming. It's teaching you to look at nutrition as fuel instead of looking at nutrition as a reward for being a good boy when you were a kid. Right? You did something good, mommy gave you a chocolate sundae. Well, that's not going to happen here anymore, guys. You got to start looking at food as the fuel to get you through the day at your peak performance, like an athlete would view their food. If we can get to that point, we're 1/3 of the way. The next thing that happens is we want to stabilize our blood sugar by eating more frequently. Now, forget about the implications of whether we eat our 42 grams of protein in the morning or we divide it in 21 grams at breakfast and 21 grams at lunch and stuff, about how anabolic or not that is. Guys, it's probably not going to matter all that much at all. There's studies that show that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the implications on blood sugar stability and how that makes you feel and feel more energetic throughout the entire day by having a steady blood sugar as opposed to succumbing to the peaks and the valleys. The third thing that happens when we eat more often is we actually then are able to control our portion sizes. Because if you're supposed to eat every 2.5 to 3 hours, what winds up happening is you might not be hungry enough to overeat or crave or indulge in something you might not necessarily want to later in the day because you've controlled your hunger throughout the day. So it's for all the reasons that you never are told about. It's for all the reasons that aren't in the scientific journals, but it's for the reasons that we actually get it to work when we do it long term. Okay, now we're going to move on to phase 3. You cut the crap out, you're eating more often, and now it's the one that kind of trips people up the most because they don't know they're doing it. You got to go back and take a second pass through that diet and start eating less of the less obvious stuff that's not so good for you and replace it with more of the stuff that you know is good for you. And what I mean by that is, I'll bring it back to my experience. When I was eating and trying to transition myself to eating better, away from all that junk food that I was eating, I started to eat chicken more often. I started to eat oatmeal more often because I was reading that these were the things I should be eating, and I started drinking juice because I knew it was healthier than maybe some of the soda that I was drinking in the morning. Okay, that's improvement, but it's not where you need to be if you truly want to get your six-pack to show and to show throughout the year, 365 days a year. So what you need to do is start looking at those choices again. Could I make them better? And in the terms of chicken, Yeah, I was eating chicken, but I was still eating chicken tenders and chicken McNuggets and all kinds of fried chicken. Just because you're eating chicken doesn't necessarily mean that you're eating the right kind of chicken. So I educated myself that there are better ways and healthier ways to eat chicken and prepare it, which is what I started to do, and I started to immediately see differences in gains by doing so. So I was encouraged by it. The next thing I did, again, with oatmeal, I started to change the way I prepared my oatmeal. It was easy enough to make the change and to use the Quaker Oats that came out of the packs and say, I think I'm doing a good thing, but I felt like it was candy at the same time because I'm eating all that extra sugar, all the extra salt that's in those prepared, along with the additives that's in those little prepared packets, until I made the change to go to whole grain slow cooked oats. Those were much healthier for you. And again, when I made that switch, I could see the immediate differences in gains in my physique as I was making them. So I was encouraged to continue to do them. And it wasn't bad. I loved what I was eating. It wasn't like I went from eating something I liked to something I didn't. I had already made that change. And I was now used to it and making more improvements along the way. Same thing with juice. Guys, at some point, trust me, at some point, get rid of your sippy cup, stop drinking juice, and start drinking more water. When you're a kid, it's okay. When you get to be an adult, I don't think juice is the best thing in the world for you. And it's not even because it tends to be loaded with sugar. What happens here, guys, is we tend to drink things in place of what we know we should be drinking more of, and that's water. And there's no way to replace the water that you need in your diet, especially if you're trying to develop a complete physique. Your muscles thrive on water, and everything you drink in place of that is not a substitution for it. It's something exactly that, drinking in place. So get rid of the juice, start making more improvements and refinements on that second go-through in your diet, and I promise you, you'll start to see a lot more improvements. This is where you see the most, but this is where people tend to need the most help because they may not realize some of the things that they're still eating that aren't so great for them. Okay, so you cut out the crap, you're eating more often, you took a second pass through that diet to get rid of the less obvious things that are causing a problem, and now you're going to do something that's probably, again, going to blow your mind a little bit, and that is you're going to start eating more of the good foods. See, you don't want to be confusing yourself here, guys, with your pursuit of abs of just getting abs, because you see, even Christian Bale and the Machinist here had abs, but it doesn't mean they looked good. If you want to look good and build muscle at the same time, you're going to have to support that new muscle growth along the way. So the goal here is not just to get abs, but to get abs along with building lean muscle. And in order to do that, you're going to have to eat. But we want to make sure that there's a sequence we're following here, because you have to have had already gotten out those bad foods from your diet. You have to have already abandoned those cheat days and those childlike needs for rewards of hot fudge sundaes because you show up at work on time. You've already gotten rid of that. You've gone through the second pass through and made sure you've gotten rid of those ones that are a little bit more deceptively undermining your ability to get your abs. So now if you're locked in on the foods you're eating and you're really doing a good job on selecting the proper nutrition to fuel your body, well, now you want to feed your body. And especially if you're training hard, you want to feed your body more, because that's the only way you're going to support your new muscle growth. One of the big things that happens a lot of times when guys go and they make these kinds of radical changes to their eating style is they're getting in a lot fewer calories than they're used to, because the foods they swapped out were either loaded in fat or loaded in sugar or loaded in lots of extra calories. So now they're finding themselves to be very, very hypocaloric, enough to get abs but not enough to support that new muscle growth. So you want to make sure that you are supporting it by eating more of these good foods that now exist in your diet primarily. And that brings us to our fifth and final phase here, which is to supplement for consistency. Guys, you hear me say it all the time that consistency here is the key to looking good, not just for a few days, but to looking good for a lifetime. I try to stand in front of you here 365 days a year now for the last 6 years and not just look good, but look better each time I step out. At least that's the goal I have in mind. And what I do is I practice what I preach, and by doing so, I utilize my supplementation here as a very key part of me staying consistent with my meals, because I know that we have to have a high focus on the quality of our nutrition. Everything we just built up to this fifth and final phase. But nutrition can sometimes be difficult to stay consistent with. You guys know the challenges. I myself know the challenges. I travel a lot for my job. I may not be within access to all the proper nutrition that I need at any given notice. But if I have my supplements and I have my supplementation available, I know that I can get what my body needs right then and there in a very convenient, travel-friendly way. So I do that. But it doesn't have to be where you're running around on the road. It's just something that you can take with you, that you know you're delivering the proper nutrients, you're getting protein to your muscles, you have everything your body needs, and you're getting it in a way that's very, very, like I said, convenient and easy to do and easy to follow. It leaves less stress to have to focus on getting all these meals throughout the day to follow the recommendations that I've been giving you. We also have the added benefit of supplementation providing us with the ability to take our bodies to the next level by delivering Things like creatine, which we know is a highly researched supplement, ergogenic supplement that we know the benefits are proven, but we can't get it through food alone, guys. I've talked about this many, many times before. Those that argue you can get it from a steak, get steak every single day. Do you think that you're going to eat steak? First of all, you may not have the budget for steak every single day, and your heart may not like the fact that you're going to eat steak every single day. What you want to do is get the benefits of creatine without having to have steak every single day, and the only way you're going to do that is by taking in the proper supplementation. So there's two big reasons why you want to do that. But remember, focus on it when you need to focus on it. If you're sitting there at 30-40% body fat, forget about the supplements at this point, and forget about my supplements. I tell you that honestly all the time. It won't matter. At that point, it won't matter. It's like throwing a deck chair off the Titanic. If you want to make a difference, do the things you know you need to do now. Start with step one. Get rid of that crap. That's the biggest thing. You know what it is. If you don't know what it is, I'd be shocked. You really probably know what you need to start doing. It's just that we feel like the need that we have to continue to reward ourselves with the things that make us happy, and a lot of times food makes us happy. But there's a lot of other ways to be happy too, guys. Looking in the mirror and loving what you see and liking what is looking back at you, that can make you happy too, I promise you. And feeling energetic and being able to go out with your wife and feel good standing next to her, or be able to take your kids out and not feel like the dad that has no energy to be able to do something with them, that can make you feel great too. And it can be far more rewarding than that piece of chocolate cake or whatever it is that's tempting you at the moment. So start getting yourself in line here. Follow these 5 simple plans and this 5 simple step plan. Please, if you do one thing for me, don't get deterred by the simplicity of this plan. Don't say, oh, I couldn't wait for him to finally give me the macros that I needed to get my abs in proper shape. F the macros, guys. Honestly, if I have to hear that one more time, I'm going to puke. We don't need macros are not solving your problems here. You know what your problems are. You've identified what they are. You got to start implementing them. And I'm not trying to be a tough ass here. I'm trying to be the real help that you need. The one guy that will come up here and tell you that this is what you truly need to do. It's not as hard as it seems, but you have to have the dedication and desire to start making that change, all right? Guys, I hope you found this helpful. Again, this is a real plan, and this will really work, and I know it really works because I really did it myself. And it took some time, but changes, minor as they may be, over time lead to consistency. They lead to your ability to look good all year round. If you guys are looking for help along the way with the meal plan, head to AthleanX.com. Get our AthleanX training system. I lay it all out for you meal by meal. If you're looking for the supplementation, if you're at that level, to help you remain consistent by delivering proper nutrition to you every single day, day in and day out, that's our RX supplement line. You can find that at AthleanX.com as well. Guys, we'll be back here again in just a few days. I hope you enjoyed the video. And again, sorry for the rant if I got a little bit off topic here, but I think it's really, really important. I'll see you.